I've been listening to your stuff for a while, and it's very enlightening. What I want to discuss is, between satisfaction and the vortex, and how sometimes I feel like I'm there in the vortex, and then something happens and brings me out of there, and I can't get back in, and I'm trying so hard to get back in, and I can't get back in.
You have to start with the easy things until you've acclimated there. That's why Esther found these words as we started wanting to help you reach for it and find it, of feeling for the feeling of satisfaction and then isolating it. Once you've sort of identified it, Esther's friend who is a musician uses the word calibrate, isolating or calibrating to it. Like when she tunes her guitar, she's tuning it to a pitch, string by string by string. She's calibrating the vibration in order to have the harmonics that she wants. And that's what you're doing too. You're calibrating or isolating, identifying and then isolating, and then practicing the vibration that feels like satisfaction. And once you do that a little bit, then you tend to own it, which doesn't mean that you'll be there every time, because you've practiced thoughts that are bogus, that don't help you, that keep showing up. And when they do show up, sometimes it takes you off on that wild goose chase tangent again. But the good news is that the more you deliberately are calibrating to the feeling of satisfaction, the more likely you are to catch that in the early stages. So for years we've been saying to you, start with the easy things. And so Esther would think about Party Cat. Party Cat was so easy to adore. Or the treehouse that was the first building on the property that Jerry and Esther built. The treehouse was so easy to think about and feel satisfaction. So many treehouse stories, most of them about the construction of the treehouse. The first day that they found this grove of trees, they have 40 acres, this grove of trees, there were 6 trees in a circle, and Jerry stood there and said, this would be a great place for a treehouse. And Esther remembers what a good idea that felt like that was, how satisfying it was. And she stood in the center of that, and she could not even imagine it. And Jerry said, let's go get a ladder. So they took their Suburban, went over to the house that they lived that was off property, loaded a very long ladder on the roof of it. And Esther remembers trying to hold the ladder on the top of the car and not get caught, because it was about 3 blocks that they had to drive on public roads to get there, and having the success of getting that ladder over there. And then they lifted the ladder up and they put it up in the tree. And now when Esther stands at the top of that tree house and looks down at where the top of that ladder was, she laughs, because she felt like she was way high on that scrawny little ladder, and the tree house is 40 feet up there. So when she thinks about those satisfying moments, the treehouse took so long for those 4 men to build because they never wanted it to be finished. They liked so much being in those trees, and they liked so much creating this haven for Jerry and Esther. One day, after the treehouse was finished, a girl who lived in New Jersey, who was transcribing recordings for Jerry and Esther at the time, called. It was Thanksgiving Day. She said, what are you doing today? In her email. And Esther emailed back, it's Thanksgiving, it's just Jerry and me. We're going to eat our dinner. I've made a full Thanksgiving dinner, and then we're going to go to the treehouse and take a nap. And then her friend emailed back, and she said, I wish I had the technology, which lets you know how long ago this was. I wish I had the technology to send you a song. And then she wrote out the lyrics to Rockin' Robin. Up in the treehouse all night long, singing a song, Rockin' Robin. So before Esther even saw the lyrics, she heard the song in her head. And she emailed back, got it, heard it, know what you mean. So Jerry and Esther had lunch, went to the treehouse, took a nap. Well, the wind was blowing, and the treehouse is on legs. It's not attached to any trees. So in the high wind, the treehouse was rocking. And when they awakened to the sound of the wind, the trees were full of robins. San Antonio is a corridor where the birds go south. And Jerry and Esther had not consciously ever seen one robin in the vicinity, and there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of robins in that rockin' tree house on that Thanksgiving Day. Well, that's a satisfying thing for Esther to think about. She said to Jerry, I'm glad you're here. No one will ever believe this story. No one would ever believe this story. And Jerry said, well, do you really care? You've had the experience?
Yeah, because, well, sometimes I feel like I can manifest these things and I'm doing so well, and then boom, something happens and I'm all...
You hear what you're doing? You're doing the opposite of what we're doing.
I am.
We're telling satisfying stories.
Yes.
And you're telling hard to be satisfied stories. You got to tell the satisfying stories. We got 1 million of them. You got time?
Yep.
And so do you. You have so many more satisfying stories to tell than you are telling. And you're not leaning toward them for no good reason. You could, because every morning when you wake up, you're more satisfied than not. If something happened 20 years ago, and you talked about it 19, 18, 17 years ago, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 9, blah, 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 talked about it today, then you keep updating the vibration of it. Now, if it happened 20 years ago and you never talked about it again, it would have completely petered out. It would not be part of your vibration at all. It would not be part of your vibrational mix at all if you hadn't kept it active with your attention. Do you have computers? Do you have software updates? Have you noticed that if you don't keep updating, pretty soon your computer won't work? It just becomes completely obsolete in this world today. And that's the way your beliefs that aren't serving you, if you didn't keep updating them, after a little while, they just wouldn't work in you. They just wouldn't be active. They would not be affecting anything if you would just not update them. So you may think it's not true, but you may think, well, I'm not really updating them, but you have to be. You might think that your thoughts are thinking you, but that's not true either. It just feels like that because the law of attraction is so active. You have more creative control than you are exercising. And when you start exercising it on the easy things first, you're going to start noticing a difference in the way your mind flows, in the things that come into your experience. You'll notice. Do you believe that you are the creator of your own reality?
Yes.
Do you feel good at it?
Yes.
Really?
Well, until one of my kids drives me crazy with something. That's the truth. Someone will come along and disturb that, and it's like, wait a minute, what happened?
Well, you don't seem like you believe that you are good at it. And the reason for that is because you're not being good at it right now. You're being lazy at it. Most everybody is, Esther too sometimes. Because it's easier to observe manifestations, to observe your kid driving you crazy or whatever. It's easier to observe that than to think something else. You're so used to turning on the television and letting it occupy your mind. You're so easy to letting whatever you're observing be the reason that you're thinking the thoughts that you're thinking. But that's not what you intended to do. You said, I will come, I will pick and choose, I will mold a vision, and I will adhere to that vision, and I will bring that vision about by my attention to it. I will focus my world into the reality that I choose. But most people offer most of their vibration in response to what they're observing. So if they have the good fortune of something good being in front of them, then they observe that and they offer a vibration about that. But if something not so good is there, they observe that and they offer a vibration about that. But now you're far enough down the road, you really understand this. You know that you create your own reality. And we want you to take away from this gathering that the better you feel, the better job you're doing of allowing the reality that you've created into your experience. And if you hadn't created a spectacular reality in your vibrational vortex, then you would never, ever feel negative emotion. If you ever feel negative emotion, it's because you've created something and you are defying it with this thought. Oh, let's say it stronger. You've created something, your inner being's all over it, the universe is gathering all the cooperative components, it's there ready for you, and you're focused in opposition of it. And so we want to ask you, why would you do that? Doesn't that seem illogical? And the answer that you might give, it's a pretty accurate one, is because I've decided that I'm not good at this, or I've decided that I don't deserve this, or I've decided that others might like it if they see me thrive, or I've decided that thriving is evil, or I've decided that thriving is hard, or I've just been so trained into not thriving in this way and this way and this way that it's just easier not to thrive than to thrive. And we say, no, it isn't. It's much easier to go with the flow. That'd be like saying, I'm going to be on this planet, but I'm not going to let it spin in its orbit anymore. We say, good luck with that. Going to put a sky hook out there and slow it down? No, you're not. I'm on this planet, but no longer is food going to continue to exist on this planet. Yes, it is. The well-being is big. It's bigger than you are. You can't stop the well-being of this planet, and you cannot stop your own well-being. You can just pinch it off and make yourself unhappy for a little while, but you can't stop it, because sooner or later, mostly later, you're going to croak. And when you croak, you're going to flow right back into your well-being. And you're going to say, oh yeah, I remember this. We just don't think you should have to croak. We think you should be able to accomplish a vibration that matches it, so that the thriving can be evident in your experience. And you can experience the satisfaction of thinking it and allowing it and then experiencing it. Thoughts turn into things. Oh, think about why you're here in this place that manifests. You get to find the thought, and you get to nurture the thought, and you get to take pleasure from the thought, and you get to be satisfied with the thought, and then you get to receive an impulse about the thought, and you get to follow the impulse, and then you get to witness the universe knocking itself out in order to deliver to you. Oh, how worthy you feel when you allow that, and how not worthy you feel when you don't allow that, you see. Nice to know, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Sometimes I like to have that hard to get from here to here. You know what I mean?
Not just
sometimes.
hard, impossible.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
But you can get from here to here, and 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 here to here. It's going to take a while. Here to here, here to here, and here to here, and here to here. Or you can wake up here and not go over there. Could do that. Wake up here, and as soon as you're awake, reach for something satisfying, and then something else, and then something else, and then something else. Or you could wake up here. You always do. You don't know it because you have memory, which is just focusing on stuff that was before. So you wake up here, and then you remember that, then you remember that, and then you remember that, and then you're off and running, because law of attraction is relentless. It'll just give you more of whatever you're thinking about. But then you could meditate. When you meditate, you could focus on the sound of the air conditioner, or you could count your breathing. You could focus upon something that has very little thought content till you quiet your mind. And as you quiet your mind, your vibration will join that of your inner being. So you don't have to wake up and stay there. You could wake up and be in a satisfying place for a second, and then remember how you hate your life, or how you don't want to go to work, or how someone has betrayed you, or whatever game you're currently playing to mess with yourself. And then you could accidentally run into somebody that's tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and they could smile at you and make you remember that some people are happy, but it's not likely that would move you. Or you could come to an Abraham gathering where we never stop talking about how worthy you are, and that could make you feel a little better. But mostly, you got to wake up and maintain it, or you got to release thought to reaccomplish it. Once you get the hang of this, then it's a piece of cake, because you don't let yourself go too far away from that. But in the meantime, make it easy on yourselves. And the easiest thing you can do to make it easy on yourself is not asking one other person to be one other way than the way they are, because they're going to let you down every single time, because it's not their job to perform for your satisfaction. We know that feels wrong. Seems like they should all. My children should be born to make me happier. But they're not.